Hey everyone, welcome in. I am so excited for what I'm about to share with y'all. It is something that came as a seed of an idea that just tumbled along from there and became a whole avalanche of just time and ideas and things that I am pumped for. As you can see on the screen, this is titled PSYLOCKE'S PSIONIC PSUITE, and let's dive into it. Before we get started as well, please like and subscribe and comment below. This is hands down the thing that I've created that I'm the most just happy about and jazzed about and just like really pumped to share with you guys. And I hope you like it as much as I do because I've been enjoying it. So let's get started here. We're gonna take a look at what this looks like. So we're in Marvel CDB and we're looking at my private decks. So here's a list that you can see here from the top. We have aggression, leadership, protection, justice, pull, and basic. So what is Psylocke's Psionic Suite? It is going to be an entire modular mini archetype type of deal that you can just take a base of cards and then plug and play your favorite aggression, leadership, aspect cards into that, and that engine is going to flow and it's going to work well and similar for whatever aspect you choose, right? So if you're going to something like a Con of Heroes or you're going to visit a friend and you want to bring, a hero that has a limited amount of cards that you're like, you know what, I can play Psylocke and I can plug in any aspect I want and she'll work and it'll work well. And so at least for me so far, it is like the playtesting has been awesome and it's undergone a lot of just changes and whole different spiel of things. So I will look through the decks here with you and then we'll talk about it. And as I'm releasing this, the actual decks themselves will get released on the Marvel CDB as well. So I'm excited to share that with y'all. So we have, first off here, Psylocke's Psionic Suite, the aggression version. So this is going to be my write-up on here of it, and it'll look, I think, a little bit similar, but like more, it'll look better like when it's actually published, but this is what it looks like as you're like going through the still in editing mode, but we'll walk through it this way anyway. And hopefully you guys click the links and check out the decks. That would just make my world, and it'd be really cool to see people actually playtest these and see if like, hey, is this something that's actually good, or am I reenacting like the scene from A Christmas Story when Ralphie hands in like his essay on the Red Rifle BB gun to his teacher, having dreams that's amazing, and he gets it back and it's a C plus or whatever. Anyway, regardless, it's something that I've enjoyed and I hope you do too. So we'll read through this with y'all. Um, and then we'll go through each aspect here. So this is Psylocke's Psionic Suite, the modular archetype that's as sharp as a katana. And so I won't read every single word here, but we'll go through. I'd like to post this video up at the top and then gameplay video. We'll see. I say coming soon, but it might be soon-ish. We'll see. Like this is a lot of content to go through and deck, like just playing, and I'll have to decide, do I want to go through, 6 videos of Psylocke with that? If you guys would want to see that, let me know. But anyway, so I'm overjoyed. I think I first wrote this may well be my magnum opus or whatever it is, but that sounded way too cocky than I was intending. But as we go down here, yeah, it's something I'm proud to look at. And so it's built around Psylocke. It's going to embrace the Psylocke, Professor X, and Cerebro synergy to deliver, this says precision plays, consistent tempo. Now I am reading it. But using that, we're then going to leverage Danger Room, which is going to bring in the training upgrades for our allies. And then we have that 20 card core, which I say 20, especially for the first 4, because, there's 17 basic, but you're going to always be including your 3 training cards. And then with that final 5 slots, you can include whatever stuff from the aspect that you want. Typically going to be, a couple allies and then a upgrade that helps, or support, or both. Yeah, and then this is very easily adaptable to pool and basic. That was my concern at first, and then I played those, and I was like, these might be better than the aspect builds. But So yeah, as we're looking down here, definitely don't want to take credit for the idea of this by any means. I was happy that it was a natural idea that came to me, but I think it's a natural idea that came to, you know, a lot of us, probably you watching this, right? It's like you see Psylocke, then you see her ability, and you're like, oh, I can take advantage of Professor X and Cerebro here with her psionic trait. But in the comments, I was looking around. It looks like Journeyman 2 was credited, I think, with like the OG deck posting of this. So that's awesome. Like Journeyman 2 has amazing decks, and you should go check those out. I just like the South Park reference I got to do here. Um, right. So looking at the foundation of this, we're going to be looking at Cerebro and X. So like, what is that synergy? Right. It's um, her alter ego lets you exhaust the psi energy weapon to shuffle a psionic card into your deck. Professor X is psionic, and then once he's in there, Cerebro can grab him and put him into your turn. So, um, yeah, it's the engine of the deck here. So, the thing that I found as well, and I think I mentioned this throughout, is that ideally we're not wanting to flip one of our upgrades to actually put him into the deck. We're wanting to use X-Men Instruction to get him in there because we want to use the resources that she has, right? I would rather use that resource when I'm in hero form than flip and use an alter ego. So a lot of times when I'm already in hero form and X is already blocked and we get that confused, I will flip down the alter ego, shuffle him if I'm able to leave an extra resource open and shuffle him into the deck on that at the end of that turn, and then draw my cards. You might draw Professor X, but either way, on that next turn, then you can just use Cerebro, and so it's like you have those two resources for when you flip back up to hero form, and so we'll go through here. The allies, there's 4 allies in here that just carry throughout the entirety of all these decks, and that is Colossus, Forge, Gambit, and Professor X, obviously X. But I found right in this, a lot of the damage and most of the damage that we're doing is going to be coming from our allies, and then Psylocke's like 3 attack every turn. And so, she has her attack event as well that does damage, but Colossus is huge. So like he comes in, and as you can keep him healthy as well as he's going along, and he's just hitting for 3, 3, 3, and in this aggression build, he can get right, the attack upgrades give him an extra attack, and then boot camp in there gives him another one. So now you're just blasting 5 damage. It's pretty crazy. Forge is definitely necessary as far as like that first turn. You don't have to get Cerebro down. The deck's still going to work, but getting Cerebro down on that first turn and then playing X like really gets things rolling. But it doesn't. It does not have to be that first turn. But I typically will try to mulligan as much as in the like, I don't know. So we're talking about getting Cerebro out on that first turn if you can. It's that gets the engine running. That's what we're shooting for. So Cerebro, Forge is going to go grab Cerebro. Simple as that. So then we have Gambit, which originally he was not in any of the decks originally, and then I threw him in there and really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, he carries well into any of these decks, and he's just going to be consistent. You're able to put him down, keep him around, and then he lets you prepare for the next villain phase. So Gambit's awesome. And then X doing our engine here. So then we have events. We have X-Men Instruction. Like I said, it's going to get Professor X into the deck, and then once you have X Mansion down, it just pays for it. You get a card back from that. Incredible. So yeah, saves that extra resource for your Psi Energy stuff. So, and then you have Psylocke's kit, which has a ton of events, and they're really good. You like the thwarting one. If you have both katanas out, you play it, and then you can draw 2 cards. That is really cool. The damage is nice. So yeah, her events can definitely be used in this. And then next is just straight up build support. That is going to be another way to get Cerebro out. But right, if you get it out, then build support can come in and go grab one of our, I think there's 4 X-Men supports in there with, if we look down here, right, Danger Room, Utopia, X-Mansion, and then Cerebro. So anyway, Moving on to the supports, we will have Children of the Atom. This is going to enable Utopia's Ready effect, right? So that's meaning like Psylocke in her hero form, where she's X-Force, she's going to be X-Men as well. So now, right, Utopia's cool for readying other allies, but I really like using it on Psylocke, so she can ready and then use that like 3 attack that she has consistently, and then you're not pinging off damage from your allies. So as we continue on, we have Danger Room. That's gonna, if you play those allies in Alter Ego, you already get your upgrade. Utopia, as we said, yeah, that we also get the extra ally slot, and then we're readying, which Children in the Atom allows us to do. And then X Mansion, I think is awesome. It's like healing that 1 damage from typically, like whatever allies you have out each turn, whichever one. For me, it's like whichever one's swinging for the most damage, which is like typically Colossus or whatever you're going to be using and healing them. And then Helicarrier, it's just, I found that's been reliable in this deck for just, getting that, lesser cost for your cards. And then Training Regimen is sneaky good because I think it's 1 cost, you throw it down, and then especially if you draw it early, you can go grab the skill upgrades. She has 3 skill upgrades, so you can grab those and just use it as a resource. So I've used that a lot. So moving on, right? How do we play this? Like I've done a bunch of deck testing here, and I'm hoping to post many, playthrough videos to go through it. But here's the loop. It goes in just 2 turns that you repeat back and forth, and it has a lot of variability through it, but it's awesome. So on like turn 1 or turn A of the cycle, you're gonna use your alter ego ability to get Professor X into the deck, or right, ideally you're recurring him with X-Men instruction, and then you're gonna use Cerebro to get him into your hand. And then when you're down there, right, you're using your alter ego sports, you're doing all that jazz. You're gonna flip up to hero form, play Professor X, whatever order that falls the best in. Then you're gonna confuse the villain, and then when your turn ends, you'll block with Professor X, and there you go. So I had on that actual turn 1, you're not going to be like shuffling him in. You're ideally going to be trying to find Cerebro first, and then finding him. So either way, however that works. And then in turn 2, we're going to be activating Psylocke with her typically attack, but on that first phase, if there's some side schemes down, you can definitely use her thwart, or if you're able to get build support, whatever you want to do. But I think like my most common activation with her is her attack. So we're going to do that. We're going to use those Psi energy resources in hero form, and then we're going to flip to alter ego and use our AE sports again. And then it goes to the villain phase. They're confused. They don't activate. We just deal, right? So each of these turns, we're just kind of dealing with whatever encounter cards that we get. And, occasionally you can get Gambit out there to help you plan for that, which is cool. So yeah, and you just repeat that, and it like leads to winning. I haven't so far I haven't lost yet, but I'm going to really be taking it to the I think expert hardest villains probably with these decks when I do the videos for them. But I do think they'll hold up well, at least for just your standard things, and not standard, but your expert villains like the Claw, right? This I tested a lot against Claw, and it did so well against him, unbelievable. So very, very cool. And so right on that mulligan that you're gonna take, if you don't have Cerebro, you want to dig for Cerebro, but you might get Forge, and that's your next step to it. Build support is your next step to it, which means you won't have Professor X when you flip up, but you will have Cerebro. Yeah, because I don't think there's really going to be any way in that first turn to play build support and thwart it down in alter ego to do all that jazz, but you'll flip up, build support does that. And so those are the main priorities here. I like getting Children of the Atom down when I can early, because I don't want to be thinking about who's an X-Men and who's not during the gameplay. And so Children of the Atom is very like, it just provides easier, one thing less thing you have to forget about. And as we're going through this, I don't think it's written in here, but one thing in my mind is like you could add the X-Men honorary X-Men to it, so she has X-Men in her alter ego. But the caveat to that is you can't play it unless you're an X-Man. So you have to wait to get Cerebro or Children of the Atom down, and then you have to wait till you're in hero form that you can play it. And I'm like, it seemed like too much things needing to fall in the right place. So like the only anyway, Children of the Atom, and then the only time you're a character's not X-Men is going to be your alter ego, which is a-okay. So we go through. I'm looking at these. Yeah, that was kind of there was how the sausage was made here. Just a lot of different ideas ping ponging back and forth as I was going through it. So it started out by I was listening to a Winning Hand podcast, their I think most recent one on Danger Room training. And when I was thinking about that, I was like, how can we do that? And then I thought about Psylocke. I was like, well, that is pretty cool. What if I build a Psylocke deck using, like Disguise and these cards I just got from Jubilee to um, just stay in Alter Ego the whole time, which, like, I tried that and it was okay. The game lasted way too long. There's control during it, but it's just like, it's just so much of, it wasn't fun for me at least. So, but then I played it a little more and I realized I was like, wait, she could flip up every turn and still do the same engine of Professor X that we were running in that same idea, right? So I was like, why am I getting X out there, not using him to block? So now I was like, oh wait, we can use her alter ego stuff, her hero stuff every single turn. So you're flipping every single turn and it's working like a charm. And that isn't, I don't think you say that for a lot of like deck builds. So I was, yeah, it was fun. I really like this for Cyclops or Psylocke, and yeah, it pretty much ideally like mostly just works for Psylocke. You can definitely do the same thing for sure with um, most any hero or X-Men X-Force hero, but it would it would be clunkier, right? But with this, it's just so smooth. Like everything that I've played so far just runs so well. And then so as we're right moving along, grinding out these gameplays, the biggest thing that I did was I initially started with 3 meditations, and the idea for that was like, oh, I'll be an alter ego and I can exhaust and play Professor X. And then I quickly realized, yeah, that's a good idea for when you're only staying in alter ego, but we're not doing that anymore. We're flipping up to hero form, and we want to use our 3 attack or 3 thwart. So um, I switched that out for X-Men Instruction. It was just like the lights clicked on. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes this deck flow so well. And so, yeah, we did that. And it was awesome. And then Avengers Mansion, through all my gameplays, I think I may have played it once. And it's just like, because you're getting down so many supports throughout the game, and there's so many important ones that you want to get down, like all the X-Men stuff, all of that, it's just Avengers Mansion never fell to the right place. And it's like, I don't need that in there when you can. I also wanted to expand more into the aspects that we were looking into, right? So you'll see in the pull aspect and the basic aspect that Avengers Mansion is in there because we just need extra cards and Mansion is great. But like in the 4 core aspects, yeah, I wanted to involve that more modular type stuff to it. So cut Avengers Mansion, and yeah, that was the bulk of it. And so we can start getting into the actual like decks here, and we'll look at the aggression build. So in our aggression build here, we have 3 aggression allies. That's going to be Gold Balls, who just comes in and starts throwing out big attacks, right? With his 4 attack when you're discarding, and attack training at boot camp, you're swinging for 6 attack. And so that's insane. So it's just like, boom, 6 attack, he's there. You want to do it again? Bring in, if you have Utopia, bring in Sunfire, ready up Gold Balls, another 6 attack. Crazy stuff. So you have that, and then Sunfire. I just like Sunfire, because the cost of 2 is great. You love to see that. He's attacking for 2, 3, 4, right, with all the extra stuff. And then he comes in and he does that. His effect can get rid of what is the hero or villain attachments, which is huge, and like the addition of what was it, X-Men Instruction, right? Those are all energy resources, so we have a good amount of energy resources flowing in the deck. I think like 8 or so, like that are just hanging out, like because her and yeah, ones that like aren't supports, just 8 events, right? So those are going to be cards in your hand. So it works enough. And then, I went through and considered all kinds of different things. Pretty much every X-Men or X-Force ally in every aspect I took a look at. For this one, Magic, at first, I kept going back to Magic. I was like, oh, this does seem good. And then I realized that her ability is only for an X-Men hero. So it's like, she requires that extra step. And I didn't want to depend on that. So those are 3 allies. It works really well. And then Boot Camp, this, because we're relying on our allies to do most of the attacking, it's Boot Camp's perfect, right? So that can come in, and then you get the attack training, and then in the aggression one, this last one was really up for grabs, right? It's like whatever you want to use, go ahead and throw it in there. If it's another aggression ally, that can work, but I kind of liked the idea of Blood Rage because A, it gets a card out of the deck and it's just going to sit there on the table. And then when you um, attack and defeat a minion or enemy, what have you, it's going to go ahead and draw you a card, right? So, and you take a damage, and we're not really too worried about damage on us because we're not taking much damage. So Blood Rage for me has worked, and I liked it. But there's plenty of other stuff in there. I would say, not um, what is it? I can't think of the name, but there's an aggression card where if you're lower than half your health and your stats boost, that doesn't work well here because we're rarely lower than half our health in this build. So anyway, or because I guess in hindsight, right, as we're talking through this, because we don't take much damage, if you want to risk it, go low, use that card, then you go right ahead. This is for y'all, right? This is for, this deck is not supposed to be like, hey, play exactly these aggression cards. It is for, hey, play the core deck that is in there, those core 20 cards, and then those extra 5 aspect cards. That's just for a 40 card deck, which for this, when you really need Cerebro, you want a 40 card deck, but if you want 41, 42, whatever, you want 50 cards, go ahead. If you like, I wouldn't advise 50, but if you have those extra aspect cards you want to throw in, it is your modularity. You go right in there and do that, and it should work very well for you. So as we're going through, yep, and then with Professor X, you're just attacking, so I have some attack in there. If you get that reference, let me know. But let's see, and then yeah, some final thoughts. It's just this is just my write up for it. I have probably a better writing voice than I do speaking, like tone, whatever. You get what I mean. So anyway, that is the aggression deck. Now instead of reading through all these other decks, I'm just going to go through and look at the aspect specific ones. So if we look at leadership next, we can come down here. It's all the same stuff until we get down to leadership. So in leadership, we're going to have Beast, who I was like, I just have to include Beast. He's going to give you 2 with your right danger room danger room training. He's giving you 3 attack or 3 thwart, and then he kicks back that double resource. So it's just like really cost efficient. I was excited to include M, who can just come in and then take out a minion. Poof, they're gone. So I thought that was a fun play here, and like you end up having quite a bit of resources, so it's not bad, like cost wise. And then Mirage plus the Danger Room training goes ahead and like stuns the villain. If you get her down in Alter Ego, you get that like the way it can time it, you get the plus, yeah, you get +1 to your thwart, so you have 3 thwarting. That's typically more than most of the villain schemes that you're playing in, and so you're just getting to stun them. Not every time, right? Like Expert Claw has 3 thwart, for example, and I'm sure a lot of expert villains do. They do, but it works. It's a cool card. And then X-23 for me was awesome. Like it's A-okay if she's not a X-Men right off the bat, the Children of the Atom will get her that, but the attack for X-23 is crazy. Like, and because her attack is just like only takes one consequential damage, you get her up to 4 attack, and then you knock out a minion. Ready X-23, then hit the villain for 4, right, and then you attack with Psylocke for 3, and then you put another ally and you ready X-23, and then you're attacking for 4 again, or it's just like there's a lot of stuff that you can do there. And so with this one, there's way too many allies to go through with leadership, but there's so many X wave heroes in the leadership ability, so you can just put in whatever you think works. Cyclops could work well to get like that burst of damage and going through it. I found more so because like with Cyclops, I'm not typically when I'm playing this setting up for one big turn. It just like gradually builds and like you get the ally. I guess towards the end you do get the ally to a point where you're like, or the villain to a point where you're like, oh, he has 19 health left. I can figure this out. We can make this happen. So Cyclops would help with that. I've also found that like once an ally gets onto the table, a lot of times they're there for a pretty good while. So I don't know. It's a timing thing for me. I don't want to have to rely on the timing of Cyclops. His 2 health didn't help either. I was like, if he had 3 health, I would like almost but then that's whatever. But do what you want. Like put him in there, do it. Like I bet it would play. I know it would play awesome. So whoever your favorite heroes are, this is for fun. So and then if we look at our sports, we have the Triskelion. This was the final addition I made to this because I was finding in the other aspect ones for this, I was getting allies down, but I don't know. In the leadership build, there's nothing that gets them down any faster than the other builds. Maybe there's just because there's more allies, but man, I was like constantly wishing I had that extra um, ally spot as much as I could. And then right with Danger Room or Utopia, you're getting 5 allies on at the table, and that's pretty darn cool. So yeah, and then our upgrades, we have the Danger Room training. So yeah, read through this if you like. It's let me know what you think. That's leadership. We'll continue on now to protection, and we'll go right. We can look at the cards here, check those out. I'll read about them down here. And so we're going to look at the protection build where our allies, we have Iceman who can come in and then he's going to help control minions, which I like. I've come around a lot on Iceman. I typically like never played him. And right, if this wasn't an X-Men specific deck, I would rather have like Iron Fist in here, but we have Iceman and he's great. So Polaris, I like Polaris. She's getting that extra. She has 2 attack that you can continue to ping off. She brings in the tough status, which is good, a little clunky, honestly, because it's when I'm playing it, I really want that tough status on Psylocke, but I can't give that to her if we're an alter ego. But what Polaris can do is give Rockslide a tough card, and then now he gets to make another attack for free, not free, but or Cyclops, right, or Psylocke. Colossus, geez, or Colossus, they get to attack again without having to take the consequential. That's probably the typical deal, but depends on what you want to do. I'm not because you're blocking with Professor X most of the time, and then maybe some allies like Forge and whatnot. Typically, you're not having to worry about that tough status. I found a lot of times if I was playing that tough status, there would be some annoying villain ability that pings like 1 damage and then it just like retaliates, something like that, which would just like it, or typically from an encounter card anyway, it would ruin the tough. So that's Polaris. And then lastly, we have Rock Slide, right? He's huge. He just like comes in and just starts attacking. He has Retaliate, but with the training upgrade, he has 9 health, which is bonkers. So getting him down is awesome. And then what else do we got here? Yeah, so I had Elixir in there, and then I ended up cutting. A lot of it was I wanted to put like Night Nurse in, I think, and Elixir. It worked, yeah. Elixir works in there. If Elixir was X-Men traded, it would be like I'd probably be more keen to putting them in there. But yeah, it's that you can add him if you want, right? So anyway, let's see. Onto our sports, we have Med Team. This thing's gonna come in and it's healing Rock Slide, it's healing Colossus, pretty much your attackers in there. And then we have the Night Nurse who's gonna take off your stuns and confuse because it can get annoying if you get stunned when it's like I really want to use Psylocke's attack. So that helps with that. And then the protective training is your training upgrade. All right, so as we're continuing on here, we will go look at our final core aspect here, which is going to be the justice build. And we'll take a look at it here and then jump down and we are going to find the justice. And so in justice, we have Banshee, which has, again, similar to Iceman, even more so. This might be the first time I've ever really played Banshee. He works so well in this deck because the Justice build, I will say, it's like harder to find attack because right, you can look at these allies and they're not attacking for a lot. So unless you have to build a little more to get that like float like a butterfly. So Banshee, right, comes in, you can attack, and then if you thwart, you can confuse a minion. So that's helpful for, if you can't get rid of a minion and you flip down, you can at least confuse them so they don't activate against you. And then Chamber is awesome. When I initially made it, I didn't include Chamber because there's something that threw me off. I think it was maybe I thought he had 2 consequential damage. He doesn't. Chamber has 1 consequential damage, and then if you attack the villain, um, if they have a confused status, then he doesn't take consequential. So it's like he's just there with you the whole time, just pinging damage, 2 damage, and so it's cool. And then Cypher, yeah, again, another one where it's like in this, it would be awesome if Cypher was X-Men traded, but that's, again, Children of the Atom. You get in Cypher, and if he's attacking a confused enemy, then you're drawing a card, right? So Cypher has, I think, 2 health, but can get 2 more with the aspect, the mission training. And so now, right, you're getting a lot of value out of Cypher. And so, let's see, the ones I considered were, yeah, Blindfold. I feel almost bad for, like, Web Warrior Fanatic like not including Blindfold in this. But, like this says, it's like, Blindfold's awesome. I with it's combats the idea that I've Gambit in here, but a lot of times I'm like, it just takes a lot of my brain power to go through and figure out what cards you want to take out and plan out the phase ahead. So I'm like, you can just leave it to chance. But anyway, Blindfold doesn't attack, and that's the main reason why she's not in here because we have thwarting quite on lock. But right, again, this is modular. Put Blindfold in if you want. And then we have Dazzler, who, again, Dazzler would be adding that to attack like Banshee or Chamber, but less value for me because she comes in and confuses the enemy, which is top notch, really good. But once our engine is up and running, which is like turn 1, we're confusing every turn. So I don't know if I was playing a steady villain or something, maybe I would throw Dazzler in, but we'll see. And then we move on to our sports B Cop. I like adding like a aspect specific support to each of these, and so B Cop was an easy add. It was in the original deck, and I took it out and I brought it back in because it's nice to just get down onto the table and let it take off thwart. And then, if you have like a pesky minion that you want to get rid of towards the end of the game, like you're ready to finish off the villain, and then this happening, like a guard minion comes in, and you're like, why? You can thankfully exhaust B Cop, get rid of that minion. So anyway, that's the one support I added, and then upgrades has a little extra stuff in it compared to the other aspects because Justice has Float Like a Butterfly, which is a souped up boot camp in this case because the villain is going to be confused pretty much every turn, and Float Like a Butterfly means like not just your allies have +1 attack, but you have +1 attack, right? So it's like very, very good. So yeah, it's what is it each time? Yeah, what is it each time they take damage from an attack, right? Yes, and so I don't know. I'm trying to think of her upgrade or her event that does 2 damage and then 2 damage and 2 damage. I think it would work out that you can do 3 3 3, but correct me if I'm wrong there. Either way, float like a butterfly is amazing here. Um, mission training, a lot of times too, float like a butterfly. If I already have Cerebro and I get build support, nope, nope, I take that back. You can't get float like a butterfly. I don't know what I was thinking there. Um, what is it? Is it a skill? That's it. Float like a butterfly is a skill. So if you have training regimen down, going to get float like a butterfly is pretty darn easy. So that's awesome. And so what do we have? Mission training, right? That's your training upgrade. And then under surveillance, flew under the radar into here. This can be a flex spot for you. I personally like the extra um, like cushion of the threat, but like you're pretty much not going to need it this turn because you have X coming in every turn or sorry, every other turn, and then like taking out three thwart for him, so it's pretty reliable. And then in Justice as well, your allies have a lot of thwart. So anyway, I like under surveillance though. Throw it on the table, forget it, set it and forget it. And so that is the Justice. So now let's move on to the not core four. We have, I was like, okay, cool, I could do this, and then I was like, this works. That you don't need the core of the engine here is the Cerebro stuff. The engine is not danger room training, so why wouldn't this work in pole aspect? And let me tell you, it works in the pole aspect. It goes crazy. I like have such a good time with this. Um, so we can look at the cards in here, and this is going to be a huge one for the modularity because you'll see right off the bat though the cards that I included were very very safe cards. And so they're cards that don't add the extra ickiness, the extra statuses to you. So or what are they called? Whatever. You don't get the accelerations and all those icons. Icon might be the word. So anyway, the only difference here, I added in a 1A here to get stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness is unbelievable in here, and so you're getting just to activate Cyclops or Psylocke. I keep saying Cyclops, Psylocke twice each turn because she's always going to have a fist resource with her katana. So it's like get Cerebro out, but if you draw stick-to-itiveness, do not mulligan stick-to-itiveness. You definitely want that card. So anyway, what are we looking at here? We're going to look down. Here we go. So we're in the pool build, and so I have allies, but these are both basic allies. I needed to fill that extra space, and I was like, hey, why not? I want some more allies, and didn't really want Deadpool core characters. You can add them. I didn't like. There's the Negasonic Teenage Warhead character. Is that the right name? I feel like that's the right name, but yeah, I don't know, she adds like a extra encounter card, I think, or something. I was like, I don't want to deal with that, but I am way more risk averse. So if you're, a craziness like pool player, dive into that. That's what I wrote into here. So back to my stuff though here. I have Beak in there because we love Beak. Beak's our best buddy. So you get Beak and then Legion. I wanted a reason to use Legion. Right, he works great with. Like he was really singing with what's her name, Domino, but I don't know, Legion's cool, and he's an X-Men, so just an X-Men buddy. He just comes in, hangs out with us. So yeah, but by no means it doesn't have to be those two. It can be whoever you want that fits the X-Men engine. And then for the events, I don't know. I was looking at cards. I thought about the bomb for just like let's just end a turn at the end of the game. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. I like the using her cards to get the allies down and all that stuff and get that engine roll like continuing to go. So cut upper was a fun ad where because you're getting to stun, and so that'll be helpful. I don't know, especially it gives you a reason to where it's like, you might not need to play X that turn. So anyway, that's that. And then now we have onto the resources. So I replaced the double resources with effectively triple resources. The pull resources, I as long as I've played this, I have never maybe one time in like the early aggression build stuff, but pretty much never below 5 health or half my health. Is that what it is? Either way, whatever the um, health barriers are, I'm typically at either full health or maybe like 1 or 2 damage, and so I'm almost always using these as triple resources. And then that's where like healing factor comes in, and it's just healing you. So it's like you're all like I it was so rare when I was playing this deck that I didn't have a triple resource when these cards came up. So definitely use it. Our basic supports, and I also found I was like I don't need the double resources because then you'd have 6 resources cards floating in here, and we want to add our fun stuff like Mansion. So Mansion has made it to the last 2 decks here, and then also Moira McTaggart. I probably should have mentioned her earlier because it's like because we're flipping every single turn, right? Every other turn we're going to get to use Moira, and so that's yeah, it's cool. We're getting to update that card or draw that card. And then onto our upgrades. Ooh, I'm glad I'm looking at this. I need to update that little guy there. Um, so we have Blackout. That comes in right at 0 cost. You throw it down, forget it. Or you don't forget it because you're. I found like a decent amount of extra resources when I was playing this, so that went to the Blackout stuff or the tic-tac-toe stuff. So anyway, I believe tic-tac-toe, right? Because yeah, 1 resource of any type. Blackout. Tic-tac-toe's better with your. No, I take that back. Whatever. They're both similar. You can use that. Right, as I mentioned, because we have those extra cards, I was finding Plan B can fit into this if you want. I just didn't happen to include it here. So that's Blackout. Healing factor we're going to look at, and that keeps, yeah, that's just keeps us healed. So we don't, so we're always on those triple resources. And then stick to intuitiveness is, like, as I said here, the crown jewel. It's just like, oh, the best. Stick-to-itiveness is awesome, so go ahead and use that. Right, fist resource ready. You have a fist resource on hand every turn, right? Strength resource. I from all watching, the Nelsons and D20s and whatnot, I like saying fist resource. But anyway, tic-tac-toe, talked about that. You can go in, you're taking all that stuff, dealing damage. Blackout, I think I forgot to mention, you can get it confused. And then, yeah, so that's that right up. And then we have our final one here is going to be basic. And because why not? Why not? It works with everything. Why not throw basic in here? So with yeah, as we're looking through this, we're going to go down and check out our basic stuff. There's a lot of room to add more things in. So, right along with Beacon Legion from our Deadpool core, we had Triage, who's going to be healing like Colossus and your attackers. And then White Queen, she's all right. I guess she's kind of like our night nurse for this, clearing out some stuns. But that she's probably be the first character that I would replace if I wanted another card. But go ahead, modular, right? So as we're looking through here, we have the power in all of us. Those are just extra resources because all of these cards, except for our hero cards, are going to be basic. So it works well. But those would also be kind of the first things I could take out to include more stuff. But I don't need more stuff in this deck. It works really well, and the power of all of us comes in really handy. So now, right, we get our Avengers Mansion and Moira, and then this one, I was like, Plan B can come in here because we're going to be having some leftover cards, and when you do, not all the time, but when you do, you can play Plan B, ping off some damage. And so that is it. That is, where were we? Psylocke's Psionic Suite. My gift to you. Kidding. Just like, but yeah, it was my gift to, I keep saying gift, I don't know, myself and everything. I was happy. It's just like I had a lot of passion about this, and once I started going, I was like, "Phew, I worked like a lot of hours into this. Definitely more hours than anything else in Marvel Champions I've put time into. So I am very excited. I'm looking forward to hearing how your experience goes with this. Please, please, please let me know if it's something you like. It, yeah, I would love to hear that. It would mean a lot. So I appreciate all of you for watching, and I appreciate the whole community here, as far as just being welcoming and awesome, and just making this hobby something that we can all enjoy and like work together on, because this game gets so much better as we're like finding out new tricks and new things and new like ideas. So hopefully this is new enough to where it gives you, the desire to go play Psylocke once again, right? Or if, maybe you didn't like her previously, maybe this will help, we'll see. So anyway, it's something that I will release all these decks on Marvel CDB and put links to them here. So go check those out, and thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. We will catch you next time. Like and subscribe below, right? So see ya.